So I'm Megan, I'm 19, I'm from Folkestone in Kent and I'm a second year music student. I play bass guitar and clarinet, weird combination. So I grew up in a Christian family, always have been. Went to Methodist church in just along the road from where I went. Was sort of dawdling along through life, but never really got involved because I didn't really know how to interact with kids, or when I got to teenager it was terrible. No offence to them or anything. But then when my parents divorced, I sort of shut everything out, and it was quite a messy one. So I just shut it out for about 6 months. Even though I did shut God out during that time, he was always there, wasn't he? So got invited to another church to be in the band and play clarinet there, but never got involved. That's when I met Emma, and she invited me to a camp, and it was at like a boarding school, and we went there for a week, and we were training to be leaders, and it was really good fun. And then I was like, so there's God, and then I really started to interact, and we were talking about future and trusting God, and we went through like workshops, and it was so good. And I was like, okay, so God's there. So that's sort of my first interaction as such. Yeah, there's a real sense of like community and it all being brought together. It's really good to interact and pray together. That's something I've never done, sort of sat down and prayed. I would have called myself Christian all my life, but I wasn't, was I really? So I came to university 2012 and was determined to get settled into church. I went to a church, but I was sort of ill a lot. I had a lot of trouble with my health. I had an operation. And I kept sort of missing church and then not really fitting in, and people were like, who are you? And I was like, I've been coming here for a while, and it's a bit like, but then I was really enjoying it. I really loved the teaching, but I never was sort of fitting in as such. So Emma and Ben were like, come to St Matt's, come to St Matt's, and I was really stubborn. I was like, no, I'm not going to give in, because I wanted to be a bit like independent, because I'm quite stubborn. And then I got like this niggle, and I always get niggles from God, and it was a bit weird, and I was like, oh come on, I want to be a bit independent, so I was sort of being my stubborn self and being like, no. And that lasted for about 6 months actually, and then I came along, because I hadn't met a few people from St Matt's, and I came along and just like sort of fell in love with the place, and the niggle went, so I was just like, okay, so you want me to come here, but then loved it anyway, so it sort of really worked. The family's amazing. Everyone's so sort of like, like that. I don't know. Like the teaching and the worship, and just getting really involved with like the community, and being really sort of supportive of each other and really encouraging. Yeah, I've definitely grown in faith. Like the last 6 months I've learned, I don't even know how much, like I keep realising things and being like, that makes sense, and been really like sort of real urge to get involved with the Bible and start praying a lot more, and started praying in groups, and yeah, it's really good. Like, I've got a real like passion to get out. So I was christened as a child. Like I said, I was brought up in a family, Christian family, but then as I've been sort of like, as I didn't grow until quite late quite late for me, as in I'm only 19, yeah, true. But now I understand that baptism's for showing that you can follow Christ, and to re-show as such, like publicly show that you're with Christ, and to sort of make not a fresh start, but start to really explore and learn, because I've got a lot of learning to do still. I definitely look to God for absolutely everything, which is amazing. Like even if I'm in ridiculous amounts of pain, I'm crying to God. That's it. Like you couldn't get any better than that. I'm not shutting him away, which I think is brilliant. But with the healing, I think it's definitely an ongoing thing, and I really hope, I'm sure I'll get healed eventually. And he's got perfect timing, hasn't he? That'd be good. That'd be good. So for me, baptism is important because of past and being like sort of an old self. I've grown like in faith, and grown in not being so angry, and building relationships back with family and things like that. So I feel like going into the water will be like woo, cleansed. So it'll be quite nice to make a good fresh start. I know I could wait 20 years down the line, but I think it's good to make a fresh start now and be like, oh yeah, God, I trust you, and then learn to